Okay, today we're going to go over how to fill in our app-based lesson template for our assignment. It's a pretty simple process, and we're going to fill this out pretty systematically, and you're going to fill it in with all your own original ideas. So what you're going to have to include is you're going to have to include a title of your app-based lesson. You're going to have to include relevant South Carolina standards, which you can find on the front of your Weebly page, or you can Google South Carolina state standards and find them right through Google. And then you're going to include a description. Your description is going to be very systematically kind of written out. It will be this app lesson will develop. You're going to pick a subject area or a grade level, and then your lesson material focus, so what material you want your students to focus on, and then follow that up with their understanding, their knowledge, or their skills, or what they're actually going to be learning throughout this app-based lesson. Then you're going to have your instructional objective. You're going to have to include an action word of what your students will be doing. Those action words can also be found on the front of your Weebly course page for EDUC 204. So now let's move down to the actual kind of meat and potatoes of this app-based lesson and what you're going to be writing up, and that's going to be your steps. Each step is going to have its own app that you're going to use, and each app that you include will kind of be either content-based, criteria-based, and it will kind of have its own purpose throughout the lesson. And we're going to show you an example. But the last thing, one of the more important things for this assignment is including that iTunes page hyperlink. You're actually going to just Google the app, and you're going to copy and paste the URL for the iTunes app page off of Google. It'll connect you to the iTunes App Store, and you're just going to take that URL, copy and paste it right in between these brackets, and you'll be finished. So now let's look at an example. So here's an example of an app-based lesson that's geared towards social studies. The title of this app-based lesson is Founding Fathers Show and Tell. You can see that we have the relevant South Carolina standards right here, the USG 2.1, USG 2.4, and USG 3.1. These are the standards that you're basing your app-based lesson off of. Look at these standards and then come up with your app-based lesson idea and gear your apps towards what these standards really want your students to take away from your lesson. Then you're going to include your description, as you can see right over here. This app lesson will develop high school students' knowledge of U.S. history and government. It's pretty straightforward, not too difficult. And then you're going to have that instructional objective, which is students will read primary documents instrumental to the start of the U.S. government, research and analyze a founding father, and then create and present a humorous meme to the class to help other students remember each founding father. So you can see that you have those action words of create, analyze, and present, and you're going to have to include those, which they can be found on the front of your course Weebly page, as well as how to find these relevant South Carolina state standards. Then we can jump into the steps. So you can see that step 1, it uses the app, the Constitution and Federalist Papers app, and that's more of a content app, so it's going to be used to actually deliver content to your students. And then we can go over to step 2, and we can see that students will use the Constitution for iPad app to view the index of everyone who signed the document. So another content app where students will be able to take content and academic knowledge away from that app. And then in step 3, you can see that students will use the Google app. So this is a research-based app, so students will be able to research, gather information for what they're actually going to produce in step 4, which is that students will create a humorous meme to help their fellow classmates remember key facts about founding fathers. So they're going to use Mematic app, and they're going to present 5 important points from their research about their chosen founding father and share their memes with their classmates. So as you can see, under each of these steps there's this URL, and that's that URL that we spoke of earlier, which is the URL to the iTunes app page. And we're going to go a little bit more in depth, and I'll show you how to actually grab that URL so you're doing it properly, and you'll do it for each of these steps. Okay, so it's pretty simple about what we're going to do to grab this URL. We're going to get this URL right here. We're going to go grab that. So all we're going to do is we're going to open up a browser, and we're going to type in Mematic. That's the app we were using, and we're just going to type Mematic app iTunes. It's usually the first one. It'll be under the itunes.apple.com. We're going to open it up, and we can see this page. It actually includes some screenshots and kind of some instructional ideas about what you could do with the app. It gives you a description, some reviews at the bottom. But all we need to do is copy and paste this URL. So we're going to copy it, just Command C, and then we're going to bring it all over to our document, and we're going to paste it right in there. It's the same URL. It's already in there, and you're just going to paste it right into your document. You're going to do that with every app that you include. Remember that you have to include at least 3 steps. You can include 4, depending on how in-depth and how many apps you actually need to follow that instructional objective that you set for your students and hit all those relevant South Carolina standards. Remember, you have to hit all the standards and follow your objective and make sure your students are getting what they need out of this lesson. Now we're also going to quickly review how to actually find those relevant state standards that you were using, those South Carolina state standards, in your app-based lesson. So all you're going to do is type in South Carolina state standards. It's usually the first link, Standards in Learning, and you'll be taken to their home page. You'll go down. We were using social studies. If you need math, science, physical education, you can see all of the topics that are available to you, but we're just going to go to the standards for social studies, and it's going to take you to this hyperlink, which will then allow you to navigate through all of the South Carolina state standards. You can kind of navigate through this page using the contents, and that is how you're going to retrieve those state standards. And you're just going to simply copy and paste which state standards kind of apply to your topic and your app-based lesson, and then copy and paste them straight from here right into your app-based lesson template, and you're all set. Okay, last but not least, we're going to go over how to actually find these apps that we're going to use in this app-based lesson. That's one of the most important parts of this whole entire process, is finding those apps which can be paired together and reach those instructional objectives, as well as hit those relevant South Carolina state standards. So all we're going to do is we're going to go use a resource, App Ed Review. I'm going to click on the first link. You can see that there's actually an app lessons page. You can go check out some app lessons, but to find those specific apps, we're going to go to all reviews, and we can sort our app lessons and see actual reviews and some instructional ideas by using this sidebar on our left hand side. We can say we want to find a specific subject area, so we're going to go to our specific subject area and say we need math. It will take some time, and it will upload the specific areas, the math apps, and we can actually go to a specific grade level. Say we need 3 to 5, and we can go down to content-based, creation-based, or skill-based, or even teacher resource apps. So say we want to come up here and we want to look for a content-based, one of those content apps that we're going to use during our first kind of step. We're going to put in the article library right around here, and you can see that on the right hand side it actually pops up, and you can see we have 4 content-based apps for the subject area of math in the grade levels 3 to 5. And by clicking on one of these apps, Wonderopolis, it will come down here. It will give us an kind of description of the app, and then some instructional ideas, and it will also grade it using App Ed Reviews app rubric, and it will give you some screenshots as well. But these are great instructional ideas that you can use within your app-based lesson. And remember, if you want to go look at some app lessons themselves, you can come right up here to this tab, the app lessons, and you can look at already made app lessons and kind of gear yours towards that same process. So good luck with this, and I hope you enjoy this process. It's something that you can use in your everyday teaching once you enter the field.